what interested me in this topic, or my upbringing is I'm Armenian Christian, but growing up, I was very rebellious and very much against organized religion. Even though, which is bizarre, even though Armenians did not actually congregate the way people congregate in the US in churches, and like there's no every Sunday ritual and so on. But either way, I would hear elderly people say something that sounded insane to me, and I would just reject the premise. But at the same time, I did have a lot of spiritual moments where it's really interesting because I would be constantly confused, like what is happening, right? I would have a spiritual encounter of some sort, let's just call it that, but then my hyper rational mind would kick in and I would just try to rationalize it and I would just ignore it. And I kept going, just battling basically between maybe I should believe in God and maybe not. But then for the most of my young years, I was calling myself an atheist, even though I don't think that's really accurate, or has ever been accurate. And I think I still struggle till today to necessarily call myself like religious. I have gotten to a place where I can call myself spiritual, and that spirituality is heavily and almost singularly coming from the Bible, from the Christian faith. But I still do not relate to a lot of the commonly known and practiced ways of Christianity. What made me interested in finally reading the Bible is, one, I got older and slightly wiser because I just thought, I'm rejecting something I have never read in my life. I am arguing sometimes and saying crazy things like, oh, all the religions are the same, just slight differences and whatever. But in reality, I just really sound stupid because I have not read it to be able to say to make such a claim. So that was one. And two, when the political uproar started happening in the US, for example, in 2015, I think before that I was completely living under the rock when it came to any kind of politics. I was completely oblivious to any of that. But I started seeing some lies and untruths being shared here and there, and I kept becoming that voice on social media where, among my friends, I should say, I don't have a platform, I'm not popular, but I started sharing my opinions and kind of calling out the truth, and people started attacking me, right? Like just for calling out, like doing research and calling out the truth. Like, hey, you're telling me Trump said this, but I can't find that. I'm finding the complete opposite. And people started attacking me for supporting Trump when I didn't even know who Trump was, other than he has buildings in New York City, right? So all of this, of course, boiled over into the 4 years of Trump administration with all the riots and the chaos. And I basically was just observing this entire thing and slowly realizing that even though I identified more with the liberal establishment in a sense that I thought, yes, I'm pro free speech, I'm pro liberty and progress, right? I slowly got moved into the right, into the more grounded people who oftentimes are religious or they're Christians. They consider themselves Christians. And just start in general noticing that, hey, if the balance is, or the choice is between religious Christians who I've judged many times, or maybe judged is the wrong word, it's just I didn't disliked their ways or their sometimes hypocrisy many times, seem to have their crap together. They seem to be true to their family, more family oriented. They seem overall more kind. And the other side is kicking and throwing tantrums and burning stuff down. And, I'm just like, that was another thing where I'm like, okay, that's good. That's bad. I need to read this book. And then, of course, it's a book that is the most popular book. For as long as we know, that's the most popular book on the planet. Nothing has exceeded that.
Correct.
I have just dabbled in it, but the whole point of the podcast is to actually finally take the time to read and see how that's speaking to me. What is it saying to me? And as we go and debate different sides, and hopefully sometimes we'll take the opposite side, or if he's talking metaphorically, I'll be more literal, if vice versa, we'll just explore different ideas. So long story short, that combined with history and just seeing inconsistencies with versions and changes, it just got me thinking why there are so many changes. And I think hopefully as we read the Bible, certain things will surface and we can talk about it later. I don't want to get into that topic because that's a whole different historic aspect of things that maybe is not yet time to talk about. Okay, I spoke a lot. And I probably didn't say what I hoped I was going to say in a more coherent way, but